tasty treat. Years ago, a person was eating a peach in a vehicle, and when they got done, they tossed the pit out the window. That pit contained all the information and capability necessary to make a new peach tree. Now that peach was not the same as the tree it turned into because of cross-pollination and stuff, so it didn't grow true to kind, but what it made was a delicious tree that has some very special peaches on it, and it is absolutely covered still, even though it's been dropping fruit for a while now. So we contacted the nearest neighbor to that tree, and they just gave us a green light to go pick some for ourselves. So that's what we're gonna do now, and I want to introduce you to this tree as a springboard for talking about what happens when you plant a seed from a fruit. If you look in that tree, there is a ton of peaches, isn't there? But the special thing about these peaches, Pinky, would you hand me one? Hand me the soft ones. Just pick the soft ones that are nice. Reach up there, find the soft ones. Children, just pick the soft ones.
Yes, Mom.
The special thing about them is that here's about how big they get when they're ripe. So it's kind of, it's not a dwarf peach tree, meaning that the tree is a dwarf itself, but the fruit it makes is like a dwarf, and they're rather light fleshed on the inside. So there's white fleshed peaches. I think this would fall into that category. And when they ripen, they're that light green, slight orange. So they're not turning a robust red or a bright, vibrant orange. And the people who actually live on this bordering property said they never even actually got one off of here. I think part of that was they were waiting for them to turn a different color. Right now they're dropping. We got a video on how to tell when passion fruits are ripe. They drop when they're ripe, and that's a good indicator. And these guys are absolutely delicious. A good size for a child. Sometimes those massive big peaches, you don't want to give a little guy one like him, but one this size, he can eat just fine. Can't you, buddy?
He's got one.
He's got one. So just completely heavy laden. Look up there. Covered, and I probably see 50 to 100 pits on the ground right now. And actually just downhill from here, there was 2 more of these growing from ones that just kind of fell to the ground. They got washed down a little bit, and then they started growing. They got brush hogged. This one's still alive, but what an interesting thing. This is a different variety, and I'm excited to grow some from these seeds. Hey, how much you guys got? A little bit? Is it taking a bit to find ripe ones?
Yeah, there's like no ripe ones.
Okay, well then let the ones that aren't ripe continue. A lot of them are going to be out of reach for you. You guys can hear the goats. I'm sure they love this, but a lot of those are going to be out of reach. But what a cool little peach. And if you only stuck with buying grafted ones where you have the parent one, you'd never get a different variation. I like variety. I like variations. Do they like it?
I just wanted to see if she's sniffing or not.
Yeah, grab one off the ground. I bet you those goats have been eating them for a while. Absolutely awesome. So it's amazing to think that just from that, you wait a couple of years, you could have a massive harvest. And I mean, look at this one. It's like a small plum. Just way different than what you'd expect. But this is the size they're getting to when they're turning ripe. And this tree is just covered in them. Pretty interesting. So before I dive into things, I'm going to ask, have you guys ever had a peach that big? Or have you guys ever planted your own peach pit, or your own apple seed, your own pear seed, your own plum, anything? Have you ever tried growing fruit from seed? And how did that work out for you? Let me know in the comment section. And I'm going to continue on with some things that I already know about this and some of our plans for the future using this technology. And I will say as a start too that we're not beyond keeping things true to kind. These elderberries, we got those from cuttings, so they're true to kind. I've grafted before. Right here actually is a graft. This is a wild plum from down here in the Ozarks. Above here was a plum tree we had in our yard back in Wisconsin. So that's true to kind because I grafted it. But this peach tree behind me here in our poultry pen, and also this massive one behind me here, okay, that's a big tree. That put out a lot of peaches this year. That was crazy and a huge blessing, and hundreds. And that one too grew from a seed. And we still pick up trees at the garden center too, like these pears here. These we actually got with our first YouTube payout, so anyone who's ever watched a video, thank you. I wanted to have something that would be there for years to come, just to remember all our time together and to have it be a lasting blessing rather than just an immediate blessing of getting a payout from our YouTube channel. So that was pretty cool. But this small garden bed behind me is where some of a little bit of a different type of gardening happens than what a lot of people are into. And it's taking seeds and tossing them in this raised bed and then covering them with some extra soil. So this one here is an apple tree we're growing from seed. Now I've done a bit of research about it, and I understand that to get a true Macintosh or Granny Smith or, you know, Pink Lady or what's their Honeycrisp or something like that, then you're going to have to go back to the original parent tree, get a graft off of that, or a graft off of one that was grafted off of that, or grafted off of that, or grafted off of that. That's fine, I understand that. But what my research has shown, the way I understand it so far, is that if I plant the seed and it grows into an apple tree, it's going to have fruit. Now about 9 or maybe 8 times out of 10, it's going to be good fruit. It won't be the same exact as the parent tree from which the seed came. Just like these peaches are not the same as the one that the pit that was thrown out the window. This isn't the same, it's different. But 8 or 9 times out of 10, it's going to be good. It's going to be delicious. So there's a good chance that this is going to be tasty. There's another chance that it's going to be a yucky tasting apple. An apple where you're like, that is not really good at all. And if that's the case, couple good things. Number one, it's going to be a bit of a tree before I ever try that. We're going to count the tree not even harvestable the first 3 years. The 4th year, we're going to treat it as if it's the Lord's. And then the 5th year, we're finally going to taste from it. So by then, you've got a pretty decent tree. If that's the case, and it's yucky, it's bad, well, I'm going to cut it back because I don't want all that yucky fruit, appearing all over the place. So if I'm thinking of smoking with the apple wood, well, I don't want to cut down a good apple tree to smoke with apple wood. I want to cut down something that's nasty, that's yucky. It doesn't have a fruit that's palatable. It'll still be apple wood, but it's just the fruit wasn't the best. And then, if that's already got that root system established, I can graft in a better variety. Now with grafting, you got to be careful because, plant breeders, they're the ones that come up with the new varieties. And when they come up with those new varieties, they patent them. And I think it's for about the first 17 years they're patented. So if you go back to an old kind of variety that's been around for a while, you're usually going to be good to take cuttings and graft. But technically, they don't want you to take something that they created in essence, and take a cutting from that and put it on a different tree. That's stealing their intellectual property is how they see it, stealing their design, the thing that they made, and they don't like people doing that. So be warned when it comes to grafting. That's my little disclaimer there. But then I've got a rootstock, right? And I can graft something else into it, and that established rootstock can then come up into those scions, and I can have something that I like. I'm not beyond experimenting. I'm not beyond trying new things. I'm not beyond, has anyone ever had a tiny little white-fleshed peach? This one was getting sun, so it gets a little bit of that kind of sunset look to it. But pretty much, that's the ripe coloration. Have you ever had one like that? I haven't. And this is the reason why those people haven't either. Even though it's been growing and fruiting for years, and this is a really good year for it, I will say that. Fruit trees in the Ozarks here, from what I've been able to witness firsthand, they're producing like one of those awesome years. That doesn't happen every year. So I've seen fruit on this tree before, but never as heavy laden as it is this year. I've had fruit on some of our stuff and the neighbors too, but never, at least not in my 7 years here, like it is this year. So these guys, to sit there and walk up and see a tiny little one that's some crazy lime green color, you're not going to think, oh look, big juicy ripe peach. You know, there's a disconnect because this does not look like a big ripe juicy peach. And that's part of just kind of learning things too. I don't know what color the apple's going to be. If I think it's going to be a nice red apple, a full-size red apple, and it shows up and it's green and it's like this big, and then they just fall off, well, maybe they were a green apple that was going to be this big. So it's part of just the whole mystery and experimenting of something. But here I've got a decent amount of land. Would it be nice to have more? Of course it'd be nice to have more, but I'm happy with what we have. Even if this is all we ever have, I don't mind growing extra trees that I take a bet on. Meaning I don't know if it's going to be good. It may not, and it may take me 5 or 6 years to find out. But like, to me, I'm thrilled about this. Sometimes I would rather have a small pile of these guys than just a couple big ones. You know, it's hard to save a half a peach, and for little guys, like when you see the little guy eating off one of these, that's a good size for him. He can enjoy it for quite a while. And the pits are about the same size as the regular ones. So that's kind of indistinguishable. I may plant some of these in one place on my property when I get back to gardening, plant some of the other ones on another one. But while a lot of people kind of have this taboo and this shy away and this, oh yeah, you don't want to grow from seed, it's not going to be the same. I agree it's not going to be the same, but that doesn't mean a lot to me. You never get anything better if you only get the same. You know, when people cross-pollinate and breed the plants and make the new varieties, they're aiming for something better. I bet they get a lot of stuff that just isn't, but every once in a while they get something that is better. So whether it's size or ripening color or what color the flesh is, the flavor of it, there's a lot of different variables that come into play. And I don't mind getting something different. So you're going to find me like this one, and there's actually more behind me, back behind that marshmallow, that are growing up as well. I kind of have this seedling starter bed. Later when I get back to gardening, all these type of seeds are going to go in here. As they start growing, I'll let them get established, you know, where they're actually there for a year or so. And once they get a good root system, I'll pull that whole thing up and go plant it somewhere else and let it have a free reign to grow for some years so we can see what it's going to do. To me, yes, a lot of times a good fruit tree is going to cost you somewhere between 20 to 50 bucks a lot, and people charge a lot more than that. If you are already generating all sorts of peach pits or apple seeds or pear seeds or plum seeds or whatever it may be, maybe you have an opportunity, if you've got the time and the land and the space and the patience, to just see if you've got something hidden right in that tiny little seed that could be as good, possibly better, maybe close, for essentially free. Because I don't have to buy that pit. I'd have to buy a peach tree, but I don't have to buy that pit. So anyway, I just wanted to offer that up as some inspiration for you guys. Just because it may not be true to kind doesn't mean it may not be something neat, doesn't mean it may not be something delicious. Ours were very delicious that grew on our tree here, and we weren't even eating them right away. I've got a full video explaining that. But then when we did, we got some, and it was a blessing. But now, for the first time ever, we got these crazy little ones that we have access to too, and we can be eating them even after our tree is done producing. How cool is that? If you've got a different story, if you had something that grew great or something that grew terrible, why don't you leave it in the comment section below, or if you've got your own channel, make a video about it. Let me know. Come back and tell me you made a video. I'd love to check that out. I'd love to hear stories. And if you've got weird fruit coming in right now that's kind of atypical or not exactly what people normally have, let me know about it. Baby plum-sized kind of lime green looking peaches with white flesh, that's different. But I like it. And I'll see you next time. Papa out.
Thank you for watching. Hit the like button.
The cow head is good?
Yeah.
That's good, you know.